Star Wars Episode 9 is set to deliver a ton of twists and turns and surprises by writer and director J.J. Abrams and also by writer Chris Terrio. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, what's really interesting about Episode 9 is that it will be combining a lot of elements from past films, and I think that the more curious thing, for me at least, has all to do with the characters of Kylo Ren and Rey, and exactly what their path will be in this movie. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art and storyboard descriptions, etc. Now, what's really interesting about Episode 9 is how it really is going to tie in to the past Star Wars films from the prequels and the originals. Now, what's really intriguing is that the latest installment is said to include a jungle, swamp, ice, and water planet so far. It will be divided up into 4 different stories. Kylo Ren and his Knights of Ren and their quest, Rose, Lando, Maz, and BB-8 and their fight against the First Order, Rey, Poe, Finn, and R2-D2 and their adventure, and lastly, both protagonist groups teaming up and meeting with Kylo and his Knights. It is said to have strong elements of the last films of past trilogies, Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi. Many of the twists will reflect on The Last Jedi and also change the audience's view on some of the prequel and original trilogy movies. New space horse creatures will be a part of the medieval tone in the film, with Poe, Finn, and Chewbacca riding the horses. Kylo Ren is described as a character if Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader without the injuries and has a very unique feel to it. This was supposedly Abrams' vision by using Kylo as a what-if scenario of Anakin Skywalker because he actually led the actual First Order. The Knights of Ren have a significant part in the film and won't be a small piece like the Praetorian Guards were in The Last Jedi. Dominic Monaghan's character is described as a wise man who has been through previous encounters with the First Order and went into hiding. The connection between Kylo and Hux is described as the characters being more rivals than allies, and that Hux has a plan of his own. So I wanted to go over a couple of parts about this that really actually, piques my interest about this movie and is getting me more hyped about the final installment of this trilogy. It is a major deal by Disney and Lucasfilm. Number one, this is the final installment of the Skywalker saga. This is going to be history. This is going to be a historic release. I mean, this is the final movie of the Skywalker saga, and I know a lot of you guys out there have, a reasonable debate on why it's even called a Skywalker film. I guess Disney's say in all of that matter is that Ben Solo is a part of the Skywalker bloodline, hence a Skywalker, story. So with that being said, I really want to focus on the rivalry between both General Hux and Kylo Ren. Now, I don't know about you guys, but it sounds like it matches up directly with the big plot leak back in May of 2018 that Hux is actually going to be a mole within the First Order. And if that actually does end up being the case, I honestly like that. It kind of mimics that of Revenge of the Sith, where it's like a cat and mouse game where they're trying to find out who the Sith Lord really is, and that is of course Chancellor Palpatine. Now in Star Wars Episode 9, this cat and mouse scenario could very well be Hux being, of course, the mole within the First Order, and Kylo and some of the First Order officers are trying to find out who it is. That could be a very interesting angle for Star Wars by JJ. The other thing that I do want to go over is Dominic Monaghan's character. He's been through some stuff, it seems. He's actually had encounters with the First Order and has escaped and has went into hiding. Now, it kind of sounds like a little bit of Luke Skywalker there, how he's in hiding and all that. It's heavily implied that he is actually going to be leading a clan with Lupita Nyong'o's character, or should I say Naomi Aki's character. We don't know the name, but apparently she is actually going to be the daughter of Lando Calrissian. Now, we're not quite certain about that. We'll have to wait and see. But apparently he is sided with Naomi Aki's character. and he will indeed also have scenes with Lupita Nyong'o as Maz Kanata. So that's another thing to look forward to for sure. I think Lupita is a great actress, by the way. I'm actually a pretty good fan of the character of Maz. I think it's a pretty well-written character. I just think it needs some adjustments to her. You know, I think that what they're doing in episode 9 is that they are giving her the attention that she deserves. They are giving her a lot of action in this movie. She apparently has this space pirate ship thing that flies in space. Pretty interesting stuff for sure. The other thing that I do want to go over is, of course, the whole entire format of the overall stories. How it's all divided up between Kylo and his knights and their quest, where then it goes over to Rose, Lando, BB-8, and of course Maz Kanata and their fight against the First Order. Then of course we have the adventures of Rey, Finn, Poe, and R2-D2, and that's where they eventually collide with Lando, Chewbacca, everybody else, right? Now, I like that kind of concept there, that format where, you know, it's kind of split up and they eventually just meet up all together at once for one big final ending sequence where it's going to be an all-out war. Somewhat reminds me of Avengers Infinity War to a certain extent. The other thing that I do want to go over is the twists and turns that will reflect on The Last Jedi and change our perspective on some of the original trilogy and prequel trilogy films. Guys, I don't know, that seems a little risky by Disney and Lucasfilm. I don't know if that's a great idea, if it will change our view on some of the prequel movies and the original movies. You know, it could either be a good or a bad thing, it's hard to say. But as far as everything else goes, I'm not really quite on board about these space horses in episode 9. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. I wasn't a fan of the horses in The Last Jedi at all. So going into episode 9, the fact that we are getting more horses, it just tells us that they are really trying to push that medieval tone. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.